Hey everybody, it's ASIC Eric, and today begins the day of paint resurrection, I hope. So for those who haven't followed along before, the garage paint job we did here ended up with a lot of crap in the paint that we're out here to try and do something about. Greg from Greg's Garage had suggested an airbrush, which is a brilliant idea. I was trying to think of how I could spray some paint on some of these spots and just didn't dawn on me. Airbrush, perfect. So we'll get into that in a second. So what I have done here, I started sanding this down. This is wet sanded with 600 here. I was experimenting with some different stuff, 1000 and 800 dry and whatever. Point being, let me find a good example here. So something like this, a big glob of crap. Once you sand it down, this is one of the worst ones right here. Hopefully we can see this. That's a little crater right there. But if you can see, by the time you sand it down, looks like that's going to zoom in nice. There's a little black spot, and then it breaks through white underneath it. And the white, I don't know if that's from the sealer or what that is, but so everywhere you go along here, you'll see stuff like that. All right, so this is smooth. We've leveled it out down to the proper level for the most part. So you do a quick sand, you get the little black spot like that, and then after you go at it for a while, you'll end up with a white spot, something like that. So these are about 1 millimeter across, most of them. So we're going to try and see if we can do some airbrush trickery to make those go away. There's a few spots that are worse, like this. Which had some hair or metal wire or something got into it. So this is more like 5 or 6 millimeters across. But it's mostly gone. You see when you sand it down, there's not much left there. Let me put some water on it. So if you spray it down, I don't know if you can see that. So there's still a little bit of something in there that needs to go away. But it's mostly gone already. There you go, I think you can get a good view of that. Yeah, right there. All right, so the hope is I can airbrush some base over that. And again, this is a tri-coat paint, so I've got to put base and then the tri-coat, mid-coat on top of it to try and balance that color out. Come over here to this nasty one here. Spray something on that. There you can still see the black spot, right? So that's what we have to cover up. So we want to level this out as best we can and then spray some base over that, some mid coat, and then ultimately clear it. And the hope is you can basically bury all of those things. So tools. I've never done airbrushing before. I don't know what I'm doing. Bought one of these guys off of Amazon. These are really cheap, but pretty well reviewed by people that review them. So hopefully that will work. I got this kind of airbrush hose that goes to the airbrush, and then this will hook up to the shop compressor. Although I realized the other day that this is a female. I had to put a regulator on that, which is also female, so that's a little tricky. Got myself a set of these magnifying glass headlamp things. These go from 1 all the way to 3.5x, I think. Because I've got presbyopia, right? I can't see things up close anymore. So I need to get some magnifying glasses on there, like reading glasses for this. So that's the plan. Let me show you how we're going to test this theory. All right, so some of you might recognize this. This is the test panel I did years ago for the stripes and the red. So I've taken this guy, I sanded this down with 800 dry. Part of that was the experiment to see how well that came out. That sanded out pretty nice. I'm still trying to decide if I want to use a DA anywhere on this or I'm just going to hand sand the whole thing. But anyway, this is the same color as that. Maybe not exactly the same color. I sprayed it years ago, so the concentrations of the dye and the mid coat are probably different and everything, but it's roughly the same. So we have that versus that. All right, so we're trying to do the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Sharpie and I'm going to put a bunch of 1 millimeter dots on this thing and we'll do a bunch of experiments from that. Let me get the dots laid out and then we'll talk about it. All right, so the smallest mark I could make with the Sharpie is about 2 millimeters. So it's a little bit bigger than the dots on the car, but similar. So what I've done here, I've laid out a grid of these. So basically 4 in groups of 4. This has a group of 5. And we're going to run a series of tests here. So we're going to do base coat only, base coat plus 1 mid coat, 2 mid coat, 3 mid coat kind of thing. And then what I'm going to do with the airbrush, I'm going to leave one of these completely empty here to see what it looks like with nothing on it. This one here. And then we'll put same thing on going across this way or the other way, whatever I haven't decided yet. We'll put 1 coat of base, 2 coats of base, 3 coats of base going this way, and then we'll figure it out. And then I'm also going to try and experiment with, if I just try and paint with the airbrush just over that circle, fan it out a little bit, and then fan it out a little bit more and kind of blend it out. Because one thing I'm concerned about is if I just try and lay paint in one little spot, you're going to see it. So I'm going to see if I can blend it out, with the airbrush. I don't know. And on the other side here, I put kind of a little swirly pattern over here, something bigger, because there's a few of those on the car. There's not that many, but there's a few big chunky ones. And just see if I can bury these. So that's the plan. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up some base coat and we'll get started here. And I've never used an airbrush before, so part of this is going to be laying some paper out here and just playing with the airbrush because I don't know how to use one. Okay, I got the airbrush already. I put the 0.5 tip in it. This one comes with, what, 0.2, 0.3, and 0.5. So we went for the 0.5. I figure the biggest I can get here. I mixed up some base. I tried to reduce this like 25%. I think I ended up reducing it like 70% or something, but I don't know, we'll see how it goes. I think this is going to be okay since it's water-based. The clear I'm worried about, I'm going to have to reduce the hell out of. But all right, let's get everything set up and we'll start playing around. I don't have a good setup to get a regulator on here because this is female and all the regulator stuff is also female. So I need to get a male-to-male 1/4-inch adapter here or something. So I set the regulator on the wall over there about 30 PSI. I'm reckoning that's around 20 by the time you get to the gun here. Don't know. Let's put some paint in there and have some fun. All right, so the first order of business here is just familiarizing myself with the gun and pressure and all that stuff. This has one of the adjusters in the end so you can keep from putting too much fluid out, which I suspect I might need. Let me put some base in there. Let's go. Okie dokie. So we're going for precision here, not for large coverage. So it's a little tricky. That's weird. Clogged up already? Alright, so I turn the air on, and if you watch the top of the cap there, it's just blowing back out, so it's like it's clogged or something. Alright, well, after the only advice I could find online for the problems I was having is clean your airbrush. Seems to be the universal answer. So get some paint out here. It might be over reduced. Let's give it a try. Alright, we're gonna try here. I'm gonna start off on the paper over here. Yeah, that didn't even cover it at all. there a little tighter. Maybe a bit much, but I think that's why we're going to need 3 coats. Can you see down here? Not very precise. This stuff might be over-reduced. This is reduced about 50% here. Alright, we'll dry those off and see how they look. Put a second coat on there. Alright, I kind of got ahead of myself a little bit there experimenting. This is not, I'm not very good at this, let's just say. So I end up with a lot of splatters and stuff in here. So what I'm trying to do on this one here is trying to stay really tight and just make a little circle, and then as we go on these, I'm trying to make them bigger. I find if I try to stay close and fan this thing out, it doesn't really work very well, but if I pull back pretty far, try and give you an idea what I'm doing here. So like these guys, I'm gonna try and get in here real tight and just dust a little paint on there. Same thing here. Just dust, just try and get the center to get that spot covered up. All right, I'm probably 10 coats into this at this point because this, I mean, red is so thin. I should probably put some sealer down first, but I'm worried that that's not going to work very well. So, and then anyway, so when I've done that and I've got the center mostly covered, then I'm going to come to these here and back off quite a bit. And now I'm watching the paint go on the panel. I'm just trying to go around. When I let go of the trigger, it tends to make a big splat. So I got to be far away from the panel when I do that, or it ends up with a big mess. And then this one's, you know, try and keep it a little smaller. So I'm just trying to feather it out. Feather this one out some more. Like so. All right, let me show you what those look like up close. All right, so you can see that big splat there that happened somewhere along the way. So I'm going to try and sand these down with some 1000 grit or 1500 and see if I can level it out a little bit. So you can still see the black in the center of that one, a little bit on that one, not so much, a little bit. These guys over here, same thing. So you can still see it a little bit, so I don't think I'm going to be able to completely bury it. It'll take a lot of coats of this red to do that. And the reason I don't want to use a sealer is because I don't want sealer poking through anywhere. So I can just keep going at this and just keep trying to layer this on further and further and further, but I'm going to try and sand it down here and see what it looks like. Sorry, waited for the compressor to turn off there. Like this with the 1500 here. This definitely exposes the splats and stuff in it. So So when this is done, I'll try and see if I can dust some paint over the top of it like a control coat and see if I can smooth that stuff out. All right. All right. I'll show you what that looks like. Doesn't look very good. Keeping it smaller might be the best choice, but I got to keep the splats out of it. Those splats really mess things up. So let's see if we can dust some paint on there and cover that up. I'm not optimistic because I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know why it splats right at the end when I let go. That really messes things up. I got to pull away pretty far when that happens. Keep that splat from messing it up. It's getting pretty big out there. I think if I did it that way the whole time, I'd be better off. Definitely learning as I go here. So this is not very uniform. You can see that. Yeah, you can see that. Which would obviously not work very well. I'm going to go toy around with the other side a little bit now with those weird curlicues and see how I can do on those. All right. See if we can do any better over here. Etc., etc. So I'm going to do that a bunch of times. Like I said, I don't know how well you can see, but that didn't really cover at all. Takes a bunch of coats. All right, let me show you the technique that I'm trying here now. So I'm starting really far off the panel, and I put some silver Sharpie here. That's why this one looks weird. Anyway, so I'm starting far back from the panel, and I'm wetting it. And then when I see it get wet, I just switch to air. And then dry it and then kind of back off, but I'm starting far back. And then I try to get in close where I see it starting to get wet. Alright, so I need to get pretty heavy coverage here. So put it on there. When it starts to get wet like that, then I'll switch to just air here. Back off, start it up again, and now I'm just trying to dust paint all over the place here and just try and make it nice and uniform and blended with an emphasis on the center where the mark is. This is full fluid here. I don't know if I have the thing dialed all the way back out or not, but I'm pulling the trigger all the way back anyway. So you see right there, I don't know if you can see it, but it starts to get wet. I can't put it on much heavier than that because it'll run. I don't know what the airbrush term for that is, splatting or something. It's got a term, I forget what it is. I'll do that, hit it again. And a little tighter, try and put some more paint on. So, and then bring it back, and feather that edge out. So, and one more. You gotta be really careful with this, though. It's a very fine line between wet and dripping. Remember, this is waterborne paint, so yeah, you just dry it with air. Okay, I think those are covered pretty well. I'll pull you in and show them to you. And a reminder where we started. That one you can still see. You get it in the shadow, you can see it. I gotta do some more work on those guys. Yeah, you can still see it. Not this one. These are the ones I was just working on. Yeah, you can see it requires a lot of paint to cover that up. Okay, well, we'll hit them a little bit more. Alright, hit them one more time. They're in pretty good shape. You can still see some spots sticking through. I know if I spent more time on it I could make those go away, but I'm not gonna worry about it right now. Looks like it can be done. And then this side I just came in a little more work over here. Same technique. That looks pretty good. Alright, so I'm gonna let this dry a bit here and I'll mix up some mid coat. I'll spray some of that on there, see how it looks. Alright, we have switched to the 1.3 tip, sorry, the 0.3 tip, because I dropped the 0.5 and I can't find it. That thing is so tiny. I mean, even just in this little area here, I can't find it. So hopefully the 0.3 will work. We've mixed up some mid coat. I just eyeballed this. I don't really think the ratio matters. I'm just gonna give it a try. So I did, not exactly sure how this worked out. So it's supposed to be 3 to 1 to 1. So I did 3/4 of an ounce to 1 ounce to 1, what did I do, 1.5? I don't even remember. I put a little extra reducer in it basically. We'll see how it goes. Let's see how this stuff sprays out. Not at all. Okay. Yeah, that also might be too reduced. Well, let's give it a try. See how it goes. And then tie it here. What can I do? Hopefully you can see that okay. Yeah, I think so. Let's try to put it on a little light here on this first one.
Now once I have this covered enough to where that's fanned out a little bit, you should be able to get a pretty good idea of what it looks like, because you have a clear on top of everything now. See how these do. Seems to be spraying okay, that's nice. Trying to follow the color or pattern of the base here to where it's most wet in the center. Okay, let that dry for a minute. I'll do it again and go out a little wider this time. Now this mid coat should be so light that it doesn't really darken up the panel around it very much, at least I hope. And so once I have this on there, I'll be able to hopefully see a light spot in the center where I need more mid coat. If you look here, this is about what I'm doing here. There's not a lot of color. Okay, so that's after the 2 coats. I don't think we're going to be able to really tell until I broaden it out some more. This side. See a spot on that one pretty clearly. So I'll get my phone out, turn the light on, or my gun light, try and get an idea of what that coverage looks like. Let's see if this will come out here. Hopefully you can see that the center of that is a little lighter than it needs to be. I hope you can see that. Put some more material in the center and try and darken it up.
Alright, so I fattened up these circles on here. Ideally I would have done that with just plain clear coat, but I don't feel like mixing any up. So this is just a test. And you can probably see the light spots in there a lot easier now. So that tells me where I need to go. The question is, will I be able to smooth those out, or is that, you know, just metallics landing funny? That we don't know. So I can see already though that staying small is the optimal way to do it, because you have a lot more work to do if you're big. These guys over here, you can see quite clearly here how light those are. So that gives me a good target for what I'm aiming for. So maybe when I do it for real, I'll spray a coat of clear over it first so that I can see what I'm doing better.
We're just keeping going at it, looking for the light spots. Oh, I also did a little experiment where I just dabbed some paint on with a detail brush. I think I can kind of see this isn't going to work, but I don't know. Keep playing with it, see if I can get it to go. The light out here. See all the discolorations there. Maybe the biggest spots will actually work out, I don't know. That small one there has got some dark center to it. Maybe that one's okay. If you look back here, hopefully that can come out. You can see all the white spots in there still. I don't know how well this comes across in camera. I just went ahead and blasted that with that mid-coat all the way across. As you can see, right, that's already too dark in the center there. And I think that's in the base coat, so it's just the way the metallics lay down and stuff. So I don't think that's going to work. On this side it's the same thing. It's dark on this side, light on this side, so the way the metallics blew in, I think. This didn't really come out very nice. Alright, well, I'm guessing that's a fail.
I don't really think that's going to work. This mid-coat's just too finicky, so I guess we're just going to have to live with it. Try spraying something over these and see how well those hid.
So for these little ones, I think it's better just to put a dab of color over it. You can hardly see that. This one, get the light on it. Let's see, there. You can see that. This one's not too bad. I think it looks better than the black spot. Doesn't look great, but over here, doesn't really cover very well. Maybe if I put a bunch of more coats on it, it would be better, but what looks better, that or that? I don't really like these spots. Those look like leopard spots or something. The way they catch the light is not great. Oh well.
Alright, so I'll open this up for feedback and see what you folks think. I think on this small stuff here, I'm not going to mess with it at all. And maybe I'll put just a little dab of base on it or something to try and hide it a little bit. The biggest spots like this, again, it's the little white spots that really kind of show through the most. I'll probably try and cover that up. I'm just not even going to bother with this. I don't think there's anything I can do with this. The dark stuff down in the paint. This one's mostly gone anyway, so I'll probably just sand on that a little bit and leave it. I'm just not going to try and fix the big gnarly stuff. Like one of the worst ones I have is right there. That's going to be covered by the sticker. All this stuff in the center here is covered by the sticker. And if we decide to paint the stripes on Sunday, that'll cover that too. Yeah, so I think we're just going to have to live with it. Like I told Pops, worst case scenario for me, I can repaint this fender. I could probably get it pretty close if I just do this one panel here and not mess with the hood. And then the rest of the car, just leave it as is. It's probably okay. The rest of the car doesn't really bother me so much. It's just fender. So maybe I'll end up repainting that fender someday. I'm not going to do it right now. I want to get this thing done, get it on the road. Paint's good enough. Anyway, all right. That's going to do it for today. If anybody has any other suggestions, let me know. I don't think the Airbrush is going to work. Unfortunately, just didn't pass the test. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks everybody. Hope you're all doing well, and we'll catch you on the next one.